Let's just open up with prayer tonight and we'll get right into some good stuff, okay? Father, thank you so much for tonight. I thank you for the opportunity that we have at Family Life to enjoy private Christian education. I thank you for the opportunities that have been afforded to these families, that they can afford to go through this process through the scholarships. Lord, I just thank you that the powers that be have made this available to these families. And God, I pray, Lord, that you would just bless our endeavors. Help us, God, to be excellent in learning, excellent in teaching, excellent in leading, and excellent in everything that we do. And we just give you praise. God, be with us tonight, God. Help us just to articulate what needs to be said. I pray, God, that you would give just a receptive spirit, and God, that we would just have a great time together meeting one another. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you all so much once again. I'm going to jump right into the material, if that's okay with you, and we'll get the material and get you to your classes so you can meet your teachers, see where you're sitting. I know our older students that are returning students, they're like, where am I sitting this year? They want to know what's going on. What's it look like? What's my teachers done? We're going to get through some of this, and I'm going to introduce you to the staff so that you'll kind of know who you have on hand this year. All of these staff, if you're a returner, will be familiar to you. There are no new staff members this year. In kindergarten and first grade, Mrs. Jessica Wines. Second through fifth grade classroom will be Mrs. Mandy Thigpen, and Miss Brandy Gerald will be her aide. Sixth through eighth grade, you'll have Pastor Jimmy and Mrs. Jessica Corbett. And in high school, Old Faithful, Mr. Doug McElroy. At the front desk, once again, you'll have Pastor Takayla Graham will be at the front desk, helping you out. And tucked away somewhere in a back office doing things that you don't even want to think about is Pastor Glenn. I'll be back just being your principal again this year. How about that? Several times throughout the year, we have a school board that convenes to make decisions on behalf of our church and our school, and we're thankful for them. Our school board members are Charles Bowe, Tom Beatty, and present tonight with us, Mr. Dean Schaus, our school board member standing in the back. All right. So let's jump into the good stuff. How about that? Let's talk about school hours. School hours are going to be the same this year as last year. 8:10 to 2:35 Monday through Thursday, 8:10 to 12:35 on Fridays, okay? The school calendar is available on the website, and I thought we would put this up on the screen in case you needed to write it down, take a picture of it. The school website is familylifearcher.com. There you'll find the up-to-date calendar, you'll find the up-to-date student handbook. There's lots of things there, lots of resources there for you. You can also communicate with us through that contact us page there. So all of that is there for you. And I know that's a fairly new site, so I wanted to just make sure you were aware that that site was there. Jumping into some of the things we have to talk about every year. First, I want to talk about attendance and punctuality. This is everybody's favorite topic, attendance and punctuality. I hate to overstate the obvious, but it's important for your child to be in class. I know that may come as a surprise to some, but it shouldn't. It's important for them to be here. A student who is absent misses optimal tutoring opportunities. In other words, when they're here on the day that their assignment is given, there's a better opportunity for them to receive tutoring than when they're trying to make up their work, doing extra loads of work. Doesn't that make sense? It's harder to get more tutoring in a shorter amount of time. But if they're here, they can get those tutoring opportunities without interruption. Every year we're audited. And as part of that audit, we send, if your student is on scholarship, and every student in Family Life is on scholarship, we send their attendance reports, their test scores, and everything have to go up to DOE as part of this audit. And they quiz me when I send them students who have missed days, more days that seem excessive. They write me back and they say, Why did this student miss this many days? Did they pass? That was a big question they had this past year. Did they pass? They sent me a list of 5 students, and they said, did these students pass? Literally a direct question. Did they pass? We need to do our best to not raise those questions for you or for me, because it's about me, and I'm going to do my best to make it happen, but it's also about you, because you could lose your scholarship over days of absences. If you read your handbook with Step Up for Students, you can lose your scholarship for having excessive absences according to that handbook. So just make sure that if your student's able to be in school, that they're in school. If they're sick and they're contagious, then by all means, we don't want them spreading that and creating a issue within the school. But, if they just wake up and they're just like, I really don't want to go, we're not doing anything important, or that may not be the case. You may want to kind of check on that and send them to school. Punctuality is also important, because a student who is late often begins their day under stress. They come in, everybody else has already started, they're trying to get going, and automatically it kind of starts this internal stress inside of them, and we don't want them to be stressed. It also, when a student is tardy, it interrupts not only the start of their day, it interrupts the start of our front office desk, Pastor TK's day. She has to stop, get them a tardy slip, then they take it into class. If the teacher's already giving instruction or already tutoring another student, it interrupts the teacher in that moment and that other student. So it's a ripple effect. So it's important just to be here on time. If your student is here at 8:10 every day, they will not be tardy, because they're not marked tardy until 8:15. That doesn't mean we start school at 8:15. We start school at 8:10. But it gives you that 5-minute leeway to get them here and get them in class. And so just adjust your morning schedule so that you can be at school on time. My rule of thumb is, usually for my family, is early is on time, and on time is, late. Early is on time, and on time is late. So if your child is absent due to illness or a necessary cause, write them a note and send it with them the next day when they come to school. It will help the staff out. It will help you out. It'll help your student out once again, because if they don't bring a note, then now the teacher has to fill out a slip for unexcused absence and send it home, and we go through this process. So if you just send a note, that makes it really simple for your child, for your teacher. If your child is absent for 3 or more consecutive days, they should return to school with a doctor's note. If they're absent for 3 or more days, they should have a doctor's note. Checkouts. If a student is checked out before 11:30, or if they arrive after 11:30, that is considered an absence, because they missed more than half of a day. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about your checkouts, or when you're making appointments with the doctor or the dentist or things like that. If you can make those appointments late enough that they can stay in school till after 11:30, it won't affect their attendance. And at the award show at the end of the year, they can be getting a trophy or a medal or something up here for good attendance or perfect attendance. So just kind of keep those things in mind. Even better yet, see if you can do them on Friday afternoon, and they get out of school at 12:35 on Fridays, and they can have perfect attendance. This one, it's been in our handbook for years, and we've kind of done a poor job of enforcing it, but it really would be helpful to the office staff if we didn't check students out after 2 p.m. And the reason is, you've already got the car line started, you got things like that going on. You may have traffic in the parking lot where high school students are being released to go to their car real close to release time, things like that. And it's just safer, and it's a lot less hectic. If you've got to check a student out, get here before that 2 p.m. mark, check them out, and go ahead, and that way you can move off the property before that end of the day traffic begins. Now, I'm not telling you if you come in here and you have a need and you need to get them, I'm going to say, no, you can't have your student. I'm going to be reasonable about this, but I'm going to ask you also to be considerate and reasonable with me about this rule, because there's a reason for it, and it really does help not to have that extra traffic. So that's it on attendance and punctuality. Let's talk about our goals. So we have 3 different types of curriculum that we use at Family Life. Our early elementary, kindergarten and first grade, they're on ABECA curriculum. 2nd through 8th grade do PACES, the ACE, Accelerated Christian Education. And then 9th through 12th grade do Ignitia, which is a computer-based curriculum. This year, for the very first time, all of our goals for the entire school are already mapped out and written. They're provided to the teacher from administration. So the teachers don't have to, it was an attempt to try and help the teacher for having to figure out these goals day by day. So they actually have all of your child's goals already in their folders for the whole year. And they're going to be plugging those in. So in that being said, you need to know that a student's daily goals are firm and they do not change. We don't split goals in half. So if a goal is pretty close to about 4 pages per day if you're in the ACE. On the computers, the goals are split up based on how many days of class versus the amount of work that they have to do. But the goals do not change. So if a student fails to complete their work in class, as always, then they would take the incomplete work home and do it as homework, and it's due the next morning when they come back into class. No exceptions. It's due the next morning when they come back into class. If they fail to do their homework and they come to school with their homework not done, then they receive a GNC, which means goal not completed. They receive a GNC detention for that day, which means that during break and lunchtime, they would go to a separate table from the socializing table, and they would bring their pacework in there, because now they have their homework from last night, plus they have their full goals from today, and they have to do all of that. So in other words, simply because they did not do their homework last night, they don't get a break on their goals today. They have to do all of it, right? Sounds fair, right? So it's important that they do their homework. If a student is absent, whether excused or not, we issue makeup work. So some schools, if they're not an excused absent, they don't do makeup work. We issue makeup regardless, because regardless of whether their absence was excused or not, there's still a certain amount of work that needs to be done during the day. So makeup work this year will look a tad bit different for the PACE students, but it's still very similar. Makeup work will be assigned by the teacher, and it will be an extra 1/2 day's work for 2 days per day that they're absent. That was really, it ran together a lot. So if they're absent for 1 day, they have 2 days to make that up. So for the next 2 days, they would do 1.5 days worth of work. If they're absent for 2 days, then for 4 days, they would have to do those makeup assignments. Here's one difference this year, is if your student misses a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, something like that, and they come in to school just for the end of the week, rather than stretching that out into the next week, the weekend will be, after the weekend is when all of the makeup work will be due. So all of the work will be sent home. They'll get it, say, on Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon, they'll have makeup work. And then on Friday, they'll get all of their goals from their absence, will go home with them, and it'll be due on Monday morning when they come in, rather than to stretch it out. Why is that? Why that change, Pastor Glenn? Well, I'll be honest with you. Absences are a nightmare for PACE teachers, because they need to make up their work, but we need to give them time to make up their work. Here's the nightmare, is students who are habitually absent, it wrecks the whole system, because they're absent for 2 days, they have 4 days to make it up. On the 4th day, when they're supposed to be finishing their makeup work, students who are habitually absent will miss another day, and then you have to extend all of that for another 2 days, and then, believe it or not, this same student would miss another day. And the reason why is because some of our older students, they know the system, and they get sick on the day that their work is due, and it prolongs the process, and it makes it a chain reaction, a nightmare. We figured we can actually kind of fix this by just saying you can do makeup work, and then on the weekend, if there's any makeup work remaining, all of that's going to be done on the weekend, and bring it to school done on Monday. Now, I know that your students who are in Ignitia, 9th through 12th grade, they may tell you they can't do their work at home. There is some work that is not completely a true statement. There is some work they can do at home. They can log into Ignitia at home just like they can in the classroom. Now, they may be locked out of certain quizzes. They may be locked out of testing. They will be locked out of testing, I should say. There's some things, they will hit some roadblocks. But as far as their regular, everyday assignments, they can log in and do those at home. They can do them on a laptop. They can do them on your home PC. They can do them on a tablet. They can even do them on a cell phone, but it's probably not very convenient on a cell phone, if I'm honest with you. But they can complete those assignments at home. But we want them to get the amount of work done in the year that needs to be done so that they can pass and move on to the next year. And the students, believe it or not, they want to pass and be ready for the next year. They may not want to do the work, but at the end of the year, they want you to tell them that they're going to be in the next grade come August. And this is all part of that big plan. So homework, goals, GNCs, we're going to do our best just to continue to communicate with you on these things. If you're noticing you're getting a lot of GNC notices, and you have questions, reach out to your classroom teacher and say, hey, this is going on. Is there anything I can do to assist you on that? There is nothing more refreshing for a teacher than to know that they know that they know that they have a parent behind them helping them to help their child succeed. And there's also nothing in the world like a teacher feeling like they have a parent that is not behind them. That also is a weight. So get behind your teacher, support them through this school year. It'll mean the world to them, and it'll make a difference in your child's success and their outlook and their attitude and everything else to know that my teacher and my parent are on the same page. And then they'll just hopefully get on that same page with you. All right, let's move along. Let's talk about communication. Did any of you notice that you have a new texting communication? Did any parent in the room not get multiple messages from me about tonight's orientation? Raise your hand if you did not get multiple messages from me. Okay, Mr. Michael will fix you, and we'll fix you too, Jamie. And did you get anything today? Okay, we'll fix you because we just finalized everything yesterday. We'll make sure everything's there. Everybody else did, though. You got it. Okay, great. So it's working. You didn't get it. Okay. Did you? You didn't either? Okay. I think I put both of you on there. That's why I was checking. So see me afterwards. Don't leave until you see me so I can make a note, and I'll go in and make sure everything is accurate on that end. The new system, I don't like to change something like this unless we absolutely have to. But Remind was no longer allowing us to send text notifications out. That was coming through the email or the app only. So if you didn't have the app, it wouldn't send a text. This system will send a text to you. Some of you may even choose to download the app from Talking Points, but I'll tell you, it's not necessary. You don't have to. If you do, then I would encourage you, if you do, to make sure you turn on notifications for that app. And if you're like me, anytime an app throws up a thing that says, do you want notifications turned on, before I even think about it, I click no. I don't want my phone notifying me about everything. But it's important with Talking Points because you're going to get those notifications that say, hey, testing is this week. Hey, pictures are this week. You want to know these things that are going to come through. And the one that you're on right now, unless you've received one from another classroom teacher, the one about like tonight, that was from me, which means that's a school-wide announcement. Now, tonight when you go into your classrooms, your teachers may also do a separate one for you for their class. And you'll be able to tell the difference when you start receiving those texts, because mine probably said it was from Pastor Glenn. Theirs will say it's from whoever your teacher may be. And that way you get those announcements. I think that's very important to keep you abreast of what's going on here. Also, it would allow us just to communicate with you any other things, such as like school closures, God forbid, or anything like that that may come up in the near future. We need you to be on this. Like, we don't need this to be if I want to, if I feel like it, then I'll get on and get these announcements. We need you to get these announcements. It's important for you too. The other thing we need is, if you change your phone number during the school year, we need you to come update your paperwork in the front office, because there's nothing like having little Johnny or little Susie with a busted head trying to call mom or dad, and every phone number you call says, we're sorry, this number's been changed. This number's no longer active, and all of this. And you're just sitting there going, oh, sorry, no, I'm just kidding. We'll take care of them, don't worry. But if I need to contact you, I want to be able to contact you, and it's very important to keep that. So just come, in writing is preferred. You can send a note with your student. You can come in and see Pastor TK and write it down, but just you can say, hey, give me my application. I want to go back on there and scribble out my old number and write the new one so we don't get confused in the future. Just help us out. Help us help you with that, because it's really important for safety. So that's communication. Let's talk about pickup and drop off changes. How many of you noticed there is a large construction project going on in our neighborhood? There is. It's huge, and it's going to be going on for several months. We will eventually get the original drive and parking and everything back. Once the project is done, the fence actually will be a little further that way than it currently is, and we'll have a little more space over there. But for now, we have to alter our loop just a little bit. So when you come in onto the property, your entrance will be the paved street. You'll come in, go through the loop, and then you'll exit on the grass to this side, to the right of the paved street as you're leaving. So it'll be very similar, and there is enough room down at the stop sign for 2 cars, for a car to come in and one to be exiting. But just keep in mind, if you're at the stop sign, park at the stop sign. Don't pull all the way to the other side of the pavement in case someone comes in. Just keep in mind it needs to be able to flow both ways there. But I'll have cones out for every day of school, so you'll be able to see the route with the cones and everything out there. And just be mindful and careful of that situation. Student parking. So for all my students who are drivers, I think we have 2, maybe 3. This year, your parking is going to be a little bit different. This year, you're going to actually park right here on the end of the building. You'll pull right up to the sidewalk, just like you've seen the staff do in the previous years. Just pull right straight up to the sidewalk, and that way we got you up here where when you get out of your vehicle, just get on the sidewalk and come inside. You don't have to walk through. With all that extra traffic over in the grass, we don't want our students having to be walking around out there in that area. So it's most safe just to pull up there, and we'll make sure that there's room there for you. Permission to release and changing that. Everyone, when you filled out your enrollment packet, there was a area where you put a permission to release, and you put extra names on there, or you didn't put extra names on there of who you want your child released to. When we release at the end of the day, you'll see myself or Pastor TK out there with a clipboard. We actually mark off who gets that student every single day. All right? If your child, when you pull through, and some of you who are new, your first few days of school, we're going to be out there going, who are you again? And what student are you getting again? Sorry, it won't take us but about a week, and we'll have it down. But we check off every day who's there. And if someone comes to pick up your child and they're not on that list, we're going to have to tell them, hey, you got to pull over here in the grass while we figure this out. We don't have authorization to release this student to you. So if you need to change that, you need to add somebody to that list, or a student's going home with another student because they're friends and they're going to go to church tonight. Wednesday is a common day when this happens around here. They go home with each other, they come to church. That's fine. If they're going home with another student, both students need a note from home saying that it's okay. In writing, both students need the note. And we can do that. We can accommodate that. If you have someone coming to pick up your child that's not on your list, and you don't want them on your list for any day, every day, we need that in writing saying, on this day, and write the dates, this person is allowed to pick up my child, and we will only allow them to go on that day. If it's someone who's going to be added to your list, then come in and we'll add them to your actual list, or send a note and we'll add them to your list. We take this part of our release very seriously. We go probably above and beyond what a lot of places do, but I don't ever want to get that call of, hey, where's my kid? What'd you do with my kid? Where'd you send my kid? I don't know what's going on. So just help us help you in this as well. All right? And those changes need to be in writing. Oftentimes I'm asked about standardized testing. You know, you're a private school. Do you have to do standardized testing? The answer is yes. We have to do standardized testing, and we have to submit those results to the DOE every single year for all scholarship students. So this year, once again, we'll be using the MAP growth test, which is the test we've used for several years now. And all students in 2nd through 10th grade will take the MAP growth test 3 times a year. 3 times. So they'll take it in September, I think January, and I believe April. Either way, they're on your schedule. They're on your calendar that you can get right off the website. The days are already there. You can know they're coming. And we'll also be sending home notifications of that. These tests do not determine whether your child passes or fails. These tests do not determine the level of funding that we receive. Our funding is not tied to these tests. So these tests are simply a measure of your child's academic growth. They're so we know that your child is growing, and they're to help you know that your child is growing academically. And so that's our goal through this testing session. So please ask your students to do their best on these tests. All right, we're going to move now to talk about computer use. Your students will use computers for testing, but aside from testing, mainly our 9th through 12th grade students, this is for you. High school students complete their goals on computer-based learning on a learning platform called Ignitia. It's really a website that they're logging into that we have a membership to, and through the subscription we have so many seats and they get this. It is a violation of family life policies for students to use the web on that computer for anything other than accessing Ignitia, unless they're doing a research project and they have the expressed permission of Mr. Doug to be on something else. So he may allow them to do research at some points in times, but because they were doing research yesterday and he said, yes, you can do research on that project, that doesn't mean for the next 3 days they have been granted permission to just go whenever they want to onto the website. They have to get permission each session that they're leaving Ignitia to go into that. It is also a violation for them to use their computer for anything other than assignments. That includes media players, YouTube, apps, downloading games, changing the background screen, changing the password, none of these things. That's not what the computer is there for. The computer is only there for them to learn on. So please talk to your student about that. Habitual offenses may warrant, disciplinary action. We don't want to go to that point. We've not had a major issue with this, but just talk to your students about that, about the importance of using them for what they are intended for. All right, let's talk about cell phones. Has anyone been following House Bill 1105? Anybody been following House Bill 1105? Ring a bell for anybody? Some of you have. Some of you are nodding your head yes. All right. House Bill 1105. Don't shoot the messenger tonight. House Bill 1105 states that students in kindergarten through 8th grade are not permitted to use personal electronic devices during the school day. This is not Pastor Glenn's rule. This is the big dogs, the elected people's rule. Essentially, it's a personal phone and tablet ban for kindergarten through 8th grade in the school hours. So from 8:10 to 2:35, they're not allowed to use their personal device. So you as parents, I need you to know that right up front, that this does apply to private, charter, and public schools. I looked into it, wanted to have, once it came to my attention. I don't watch the news, so I had no idea. My staff told me. Looked into it. It does apply to us. Here's our policy, okay? Kindergarten through 8th grade cannot use their tablet or their cell phone during the school day. That's just it's the rule, it's the law, and we have to abide by it. So we're going to go with that. If they bring their phone to school, and I'm not suggesting that they do, let me just say that right up front. But if they do bring their phone to school, it needs to be turned into their teacher. It needs to be turned off and turned into their teacher at the beginning of the day. And then they can retrieve it at the end of the day. That way we don't have other issues of, you know what kids wouldn't do. We don't want to have to worry about that. High school. First off, you need to know where this is headed, high schoolers, because it's already in the work. They're actually already piloting I think it's 6 districts in the state of Florida, 5 or 6 districts. They're already doing a pilot program with a cell phone tablet ban for high school. Not allowed to have them in school. The current law for 9th through 12th grade is no cell phone or tablet uses during class. It doesn't say during the school day like it does for the younger students. So in 9th through 12th grade, I know we've used this as an incentive in the past that you get so many goals done, you can get your phone for the second half of the day or whatever. You may not retrieve your phone. You still have to turn it in. You may not retrieve your phone until all of your work is done for the entire day in order to comply with this law. Then class is over for you so you can get your phone. That's the best we can do. Try to help you out. Please be understanding that this bill came to us. We didn't go to it. I didn't go to Tallahassee and lobby on behalf of this bill. In some senses, having phones to use as an incentive had helped us in some ways, I would say. In the grand scheme of things, I completely understand where they're coming from on this, and I respect it and I honor it, and we're going to abide by the rules that's passed down to us. All right? Any questions on that before I move on from there? Because I know that's a big one for our students and maybe even for our parents. Any questions? All right. You guys are awesome. We're getting there, and we're getting there fast tonight. I feel like faster than usual. Let's talk about something you really want to talk about. Dress code. There have not been any changes to the dress code over the summer, so I'm going to go through some of the high points and just throw it out there for you. Monday through Thursday are standard uniform days, and that's our standard uniform. Students must be in FLA uniform, which is school supplied polo or approved top, approved bottoms. Let's talk about what approved bottoms are, because over time we tend to drift here and there. We get away with something one time, so then we just keep trickling it in until we desensitize our teachers to it, and then next thing you know, we as staff don't even notice that your child's been out of dress code. First off, no athletic bottoms at all, period. No athletic bottoms. They can't wear jogging pants. They can't wear yoga pants. They can't wear gym shorts. Slacks, jeans, that can be black, khaki, gray. That's the colors on the bottoms. If they're denim, they can be blue jeans. No white bottoms. Never has white been an approved color for jeans, shorts, skirts, pants, anything like that. So our gentleman is going to be jeans, khakis, or shorts that are black, khaki, or gray in color, or blue if it's denim is allowed. No white bottoms. Ladies are going to be jeans, khakis, a skirt, or shorts that are black, khaki, or gray in color. And of course, blue denim is also allowed. No white bottoms there as well. That's the same as it's always been, so no changes there. Friday is casual top day. Years ago, it was called casual day. And for some of our students that have been around for a long time, that just kind of rolled forward. I always try to emphasize it's casual top day. They still have to wear the same bottoms as every other day of school. Still no athletic, no gym shorts, but they can wear a different top. And it may be that your student wants to wear something nicer than their polo. That's okay. If they want to wear a button down or something like that, that's great. It looks nice. We're happy with it. If they want to wear a graphic t-shirt with their favorite sports team or whatever on it, that's fine too. Just make sure that the shirts that they wear are appropriate for school, that they don't depict anything that would be morally, ethically questionable in our midst. So just steer away from, brands and stuff that might bring about questions. And just throwing this out there, make sure you're paying attention to what your students are wearing and what they're bringing, what they're writing on their folders when they bring their folders home, or maybe even what they're buying. One year, I had a student that had a Playboy bunny that they brought to school, and that's how they were decorating their desk. And they genuinely didn't know there was anything wrong with that, or they played dumb and I bought it, because they genuinely were like, what is that? I don't know what you mean by this. Just pay attention to what they're doing. Don't let them wear their Playboy bunny shirt to the school, okay? Thankfully, that hasn't happened. But these casual uniform tops do make sure that they fit within the school's modesty standards. What I mean by that is shirts must have sleeves. They must meet in the middle at all times, even when their arms are raised up above their head. Their shirt should still meet in the middle. Those types of things. All right, that's all common sense for this group, and I appreciate it. Missions Monday, we are going to do Missions Monday again this year. Let me just run through what that means, in case you're wondering. This program allows students to wear casual tops on Monday in support of education in Central and South America. Yes, sir.
You didn't cover shoes.
I didn't cover shoes. In order to cover shoes, shoes must cover your feet. So, closed shoes, no Crocs. Closed shoes, no Crocs. When I say no Crocs, I don't mean you can't have, they make shoes that are the brand of Crocs right now, that are like shoes, actual shoes. When I'm saying no Crocs, I mean no Crocs, like this. All right, so thank you. Even if they're in sports mode, they're still not considered closed shoes. All right. Thank you very much, Anna. She was like, why did he get my shoe? Thank you, Mr. Doug. On Missions Monday, they can wear the same uniform as they wear on Friday. It's a casual top day. And what we do is this supports education needs in Central and South America, specifically in Guatemala. And I think we've even helped out in Colombia. Is that right? So what it does is in those regions, primary school is a given, but secondary school is not. They have to pay to go to secondary school. They have to pay to go to high school. And there are things that they have to buy, uniforms and supplies and curriculum of these things. And we have connections where we can help out some of these students down there. So all of the funds that come through Missions Monday, we send it down there to help those come in. And so what does that look like? There's two ways to participate. You can make an annual donation and then just your student receive a pass for the year. They can have casual Mondays. Or they can you can wake up on Monday morning and be like, all right, here you go. If you do it week by week, it's $2 every Monday. If they want to dress, you just send the $2 with them. Now listen, help me out with this, parents, because if they show up on Monday morning in casual tops and they're like, oh, it's Missions Monday. My mom said I could do Missions Monday. My dad said I could do Missions Monday. I'm going to be the guy sitting there going, all right, give me the money. Give me $2. And if they say, well, Pastor Glenn, I don't have the $2, I'm going to make Pastor TK make a difficult phone call and call you and tell you to bring your student a uniform or $2. And real quick, it's not going to be worth the $2 for you to drive from your house for either one. To bring me the $2 or to bring me the uniform, it's not going to be worth it. So if they're coming without the uniform, make sure they have the $2 in their hand and help us out. Or better yet, there are a whole bunch of Mondays throughout the school year. Way more than 25 of them. And if you would like to just pay $50 one time for them to have casual Mondays all year long, you can pay a one-time $50 donation. And all of these funds, I assure you, are going to go to help education in Central and South America. Totally up to you, but just remember, still no athletic on Mondays, but they can do their tops. All right, moving on. Let's talk about jewelry, makeup, and embellishments. I'm not going to actually go into the detail of that, but if your student likes to wear a bunch of bracelets, a bunch of piercings, a bunch of necklaces, silly bands, and stuff like this, I'm going to direct you to the website to go to the handbook to see the specifics on these, because they're not allowed to just line up bracelets all up their arm and all this stuff. There's specific dress code for that. So just take a look at that. It don't apply to all students, so I don't really want to announce it to all students. So just, it's there. Go take a look at it. It's a very, very boring read if you want to read it, but just go check it out. All right. Let's talk about grooming. All right, gentlemen, get a haircut. All right, get a haircut. I don't want to have to tell your student to get a haircut. All right, so help me. Look at them. If they need a haircut, get them a haircut. Um, I, t- I say this. If they'll fix their hair in the morning before they come to school, it won't draw so much attention to it. So if they come in with bedhead, it's going to be real obvious to me that they need a haircut. So, but if we're trying to keep the hair off the collar, all right, and we're trying to keep the hair out of their eyes. So help us with that. And we want to be as lenient as we can, but we also, there has to be a standard. Otherwise, it'll get way out of hand, way out of control. So just, if you need a haircut, get a haircut, all right? And try not to wait for me to tell you. If I do tell your student they need a haircut, I'm going to give them a red slip. It's a unacceptable attire. I know it's not what they wear, but it'll say haircut on it. Some of you have seen it before. And regardless of when I give them that slip throughout the week, they have through the next weekend to get a haircut. So that next Monday, they should come to school with a haircut, okay? So that's fair enough. And I try not to hand those out on Thursday or Friday. I try to give a little bit. Usually it's chapel when I see everybody on Monday morning. That's when I give out those, rewards. Jackets. How many of you are just freezing cold sitting here right now? Yeah, nobody. But you know what? When they get in about 7th or 8th grade, they'll wear a hoodie. It don't matter what time it is out there, right? No hoodies in the classroom, all right? So if your student gets cold-natured and they need to wear sleeves, there's 3 things that they can do to help to circumvent that. One is if you get them like a t-shirt, black, white, gray. I put free. I guess technically it's not free because you have to buy it. But get a t-shirt that's long sleeve that they can wear up underneath their uniform. Perfectly fine. Totally acceptable. But try not to make it red, orange, lime green, right? Black, white, gray. Black, white, gray is really good for underneath the uniforms. That's the most affordable way to do that. We also have the quarter zip long sleeve, like the one I'm wearing right now, that are available in adult sizes. It's not available in youth sizes, unfortunately. But we do have these available if you want to do that for your older students. And then we have the uniform jackets, which are the zip-up jackets that we had in the past years. And those are, how much? $40 for the uniform jacket. I tell you what, if you order a uniform jacket tonight, I'll do them for $30 because I'll be doing a group of them, and I don't have to pay as much shipping. So if you want a uniform jacket, you don't have one, see me tonight, and I can do them for $30. But if you order them later in the year, I'm getting like one at a time. They hit me hard for shipping. So if you can do 30 tonight or 40 later in the year. You can do 40 until, how about we do 30 until Monday, because you may not have the way to pay me tonight. So if you want to get it, you can do 30 up until Monday. Then it'll go up. All right, that's it for dress code. Any questions on dress code? All right, let's talk about the rest of these. We're going to be able to just knock them out and we'll be out of here, okay? Hurricane and inclement weather. If we have to close the school due to hurricane or inclement weather, we typically go by the Alachua County School Board's decision. Do I always agree with their decision? Absolutely not. But my powers above me and my accrediting agency says that I should follow their decision, because if one of you got injured or hurt traveling to or from school or something happened and I didn't follow their decision, then we would be held liable in a different kind of way than if we just closed school. So for inclement weather, we will follow Alachua County School Board decisions. We'll also do our best to inform you through our texting app, on Facebook, and on the website. If you've been to the website, you see that there's a scrolling at the top of the website that just has the current announcements of whatever's coming up. So hopefully all of this stuff will be right there for you. This is only for weather. So if there's any other reason they're closing school, and I can't think of anything right now other than a word that none of us really want to talk about, like COVID. If we're talking about something other than hurricane or weather, don't assume that just because Alachua County did something that we're doing that, okay? Our school is different. The way we run things is different. We may not do things exactly like them. So don't assume school is out just because they said that it's out. But if it's weather, you can depend on that. All right. Let's talk about transportation. Once again, we do have the vans that we're running on an as-needed basis on the routes that we have available already. So we're not expanding our route. We're not going into other new directions. Here's what we've asked in the past, and it's what we continue to ask. If you're able to drop your student off and pick them up, we want you to do that. This service we do it on an as-needed basis for families that otherwise could not attend school here. And there are families that they simply could not attend school here if they didn't have the transportation. That's why it's out there. I will tell you that I looked at the budget, what we're spending on vans, on repairs. This past year was crazy, the repairs that we had to spend on vans. We bought a van this past year, and we also did over $20,000 in repairs on the vans that we do have this past year. I'm sorry, repairs and fuel, not just repairs and fuel. But either way, that's not just a little drop in the bucket. That's a real expense. It's there for those who need it. It's not a guarantee. If we had to, we could shut it down tomorrow and say we're not doing this, but that's not what we want to do. We want to provide it for those who need it. So if you need it tonight, you can see Miss Brandy at the back table before you leave. If your child rode transportation last year, we've already penciled them in and reserved their spot, but we do need you to stop by and just confirm with her, yes, they will be riding, or no, we've had a change and we can pick them up this year. Either way is fine. The other thing we need to know tonight is this: are they riding Monday morning? That's going to be really important for us, and we will contact you. The drivers will contact you sometime between now and Monday morning to give you the schedule of what time they think they'll be picking up your student on Monday morning. If you'll bear with us for the first couple weeks, that can kind of vary as we kind of settle in and see what the schedule really looks like and the traffic and different things like that. So it's really just that contact will be through the app. You'll get that message through Talking Points. Okay. Medication, if your child needs to take prescription or non-prescription medication during the school day, we need you to provide that for your child so that they'll have it here on hand. If it's prescription medication, it must be in a properly labeled pharmacy container. Whatever came from the pharmacy, you can ask your pharmacist; they'll give you an extra bottle if you take it at home and some here. But if you need that dispensed at school, we can dispense that. We also can dispense over-the-counter medication if your child just kind of has chronic pain or something. They need Tylenol or ibuprofen or something like that. But please give us a note. Put it in a Ziploc bag or something. Give us a note of how you would like that to be given to them, and we will do our best to give it in the way that you approve. We cannot exceed the dosage recommendation on the bottle. So don't give me an ibuprofen and say, give my kid 5 of these, right? Because I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to exceed what it says on the bottle. Don't send adult ibuprofen in with your kindergartner and say, oh, it's okay, they can take it, because the bottle says 12 years or over. I'm not going to go against what the bottle says because of your note. So give me some instruction on how to help you out with that. We do understand, but we just can't stock a full medicine supply for everybody there. All right, 2 more things and we're out of here. Scholarship payments. Each quarter you will receive an email notice from Emma to approve your child's payment. For those of you who have already received that notice and have already gone in and approved your payment for the first quarter, my staff thanks you, because there is a payday coming, and there would not have been money to pay them had you not approved that payment. So thank you so much for being diligent. Keep your username and password somewhere where you can get to it. Guard it where you can get back in. Constantly, I've got parents that, I've got to call Step Up. I've got to do this. I've got to get it going. If you'll keep up with those things, you can just log in and approve it 4 times a year, and it's not a big deal. And I know, because I have a student on scholarship, the temptation is when you're done applying and you get the award ID number and you turn it into the school, it's like, whew, thank goodness that's done, and now my child is funded for the year. Well, not really, because there's 4 more times I'm going to need you to log in and approve those payments. And that just keeps everything rolling easy for us, and I appreciate that. If you have not approved your child's first payment, um, there's only a handful that are still remaining. Some of you will not get your first payment invoice until into September, and that's okay. We were aware of that. But if it's hanging out there in the queue, I will send you a direct message through Talking Points probably tomorrow or Monday to ask you to log in and approve that. All right. If you have to call Step Up for Students office, I sit in a leadership conference every year, and usually Step Up is there. There are less than 500 employees for Step Up for Students, servicing over 500,000 students this year in the state of Florida. That's a load on them. If you're calling them or dealing with them, be understanding and patient with them. They don't ask for all the changes that get sent to them from Tallahassee. They just have to deal with them, put new things into place to make it work. And all the ones I've ever met are quite pleasant people who really seem like they have a heart for private education. So be nice to them, be kind to them if you have to talk to them, and they're doing their best. I will tell you, if you have to contact them, I find that the chat is the best way to reach them, to get them faster and to get something done. If you click the little chat button on there, it may take you 5 or 10 minutes, but if you get on the phone, it may take you 30 or 45 minutes to get somebody. So that's just a little tip. All right, finally, last thing is chapel services. Chapel services every Monday morning from 8:10 to 9 o'clock. If we don't have school, we don't have chapel that week. If we don't have school on Monday, there's no chapel that week. But every Monday that there is school, there will be chapel from 8:10 to 9 o'clock unless it's announced otherwise. I think there was one time last year we moved chapel to a different day to coincide with something special that we were doing. But I want you to know that students are required to attend chapel, so don't make a habit out of just bringing your kid at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. We will pick up on that, and we will call you and say, hey, what's up with this? This is part of the program. But I want you to know that you're invited to chapel. If you're available and you're free and you'd like to come to chapel with your child, you're invited to come to chapel and just take part of that service with them and just kind of see what's going on. And we encourage you to do that. The only thing I would ask if you come to chapel is that you sign in with Pastor TK at the front office and then sign out when you leave so that we know that you're here in the building. But that is it. We want you to just feel right at home here at this place, for it just to be an extension of your family, and because your family's here every day. And that's how we're going to treat your students, is as family. We love you all so much. Love these kiddos. We're going to release you now to head off to your classes. Let me give you some instruction for those who maybe aren't aware of where